think first, good afternoon to everybody. Yeah, a big one. One that the entire country is anticipating and heavily anticipating. I think two teams that come in very good form, two teams that come in with very similar playing styles, and two teams that are heavily reliant on a possession-orientated approach. And I think that is what is possibly galvanizing the energy at this moment in time, because I think everybody is looking forward to an open game from two of the biggest teams in this country.
Good afternoon to everybody. We've been doing quite well. The back, we come from a clean sheet. Before that, we obviously conceded one against the Mazulu. But so far so good. We've been working hard on our defensive organization, and we obviously looking forward to continue with the clean sheets.
Yeah, for me personally, obviously, it's going to be my first derby. And hopefully, probably I'll play. But this game, we're going to take it as any other game from the games that we've been playing. There's no difference, preparing for this match. For us, the only key thing and the very important thing about the game, only focusing on 3 points, It's very much exciting for us, because it's going to be our debut. Playing the derby, hopefully. But then for us now, focus is the 3 points.
Vincent?
Yeah, I think it's a big one, two of the biggest teams in South Africa, and this game is known all over the world, I think for us as a team, we have to focus and do what we have to do.
I think if you speak of the derby being sold out, I think you can relate that possibly to it having more commercial and marketing significance than really in relation to the change room. I think the players understand the importance of playing the match itself. I think the players understand the importance of focusing on the match, and the match being what happens over 90 minutes within the white lines, and not necessarily focusing on the occasion, because if you start focusing on the occasion, you play the event, and the event is the derby, and you forget that at the end of the day it's 11 players in black and white against 11 players in gold and black, and then you're focusing on other things that possibly do not relate to giving the outcome at the end of the day. So what's important for us is not necessarily about the capacity or the number of tickets that have been sold. It's of critical importance that our players play the match and not the occasion. To answer the second part of your question, I think as a Sowetan and as a young boy growing up in Orlando, I think my earliest childhood memory would have been of myself sitting. And if you remember, Orlando Stadium was always a stadium that had an athletics track made out of gravel and sand. And they knew that as the VIP area, And as a young kid with a little bit of fortune, and special privileges, I was always privileged to be one of those sitting right next to the touchline and being part of the spectacle. And it was always a standstill event. The whole township would come to a standstill. Everybody would be up in arms, and Orlando itself would be. I remember as a young boy, the talk would always be free beers for everybody. I didn't know what that was for, and the significance of that at the young age. But everybody would then head off to the Shabins, and you would really have fun if Pirates won, but you would also have a lot of problems trying to get home had Pirates not won. So those would be my childhood first and the earliest childhood memories, and those would be possibly from a privileged side, having been so close to the match itself, sitting right next to the touchline. I think first, state of readiness. One, I think it's important for us not only to just look at the past performances, because as coaches, we go into our analysis not just based on the 90 minutes, but also in relation to the training session and how he conducts himself off the pitch. And we'll never know because he has never played the derby before. He's never played big games per se in Brazil. And games of this magnitude, whether you are ready or not, you only know when the game kicks off and the game has started. But what I can say to you is if you look at his character and you look at his personality, and for any one of you, put yourself in his shoes. You're a 20-year-old, you come into a foreign country, you can't speak a word of English, and you've left your family behind, and you are about to embark on possibly the biggest stage or step in your football career. And the boy has done that with aplomb. No whinging, no whining, no complaining, trying his level best to understand the instructions, even going beyond the fact of watching his games and doing analysis in Portuguese so that he can give us his opinions on his performances. And when you profile that, you speak not just about the technical side or the football side, which I know a lot of you look for, but for us, we go even deeper and we look at the character. Because a young boy that lives the comfort of his family, the comfort of the language and the narrative and the understanding of the environment, and comes into a completely different club, a club of this magnitude, and then being able to stamp your authority the way he has, I think speaks of the young kid's character and his ability to withhold and withstand pressure. And that's what the derby is about. And if you can withhold the pressure of being 20 years old, leave your country, come to a foreign country, play for a big club without understanding a word of English, then you can handle the pressure of 90 minutes. So we expect him to be able to do that. We expect him to invest the 90 minutes into his football career, and we expect him to continue to play many more derbies. And this for him will be one of many because of his age. And that was the view when we brought him here. Our view was not this derby in 2018. Our view was making sure that we invest in a young boy that we think can lead Orlando Pirates to even greater and more successful years in the future. When we went to Brazil, we were looking for a specific type of player. We knew the game model that had been established at Orlando Pirates. And we had done our analysis with regards to the previous season, knowing already what we had already brought in, because a lot of the transfer work that we announced at the beginning of the season was, some of the work was done even prior to that, in January and prior to the season ending. And we knew what we were bringing in, but we also knew that we needed one more center back that allowed us to play from the back and that was left-footed and had the Brazilian element with regards to the technical comfort and the ability to read and gauge situations in deciding when to pass and the range of pass. And I think from that perspective, you could possibly do a comparison with Nascimento. This one is slightly younger with a little bit more potential to be a hell of a lot better and possibly even be exported to Brazil because of, to Europe because of the Brazilian tag that is attached to him. So we know what we've brought in. We know the work that he still needs to do. We are not oblivious to that. There's still a lot of hard work that needs to be invested in his game. We do a lot of work with him. The players will tell you individual sessions to try to assist so that he's at his best for the club. And that's what is the most important thing, to make sure that each and every single one of our players is in the right condition, physically, socially, and the club is really going even beyond that to give him the right social support to ensure that his focus is purely on the game. But he's got a lot more potential, in my opinion, than Nascimento. Technically, you can compare the two from an offensive perspective, comfort on the ball, passing range. I think you saw the goal that Sundown scored and the delivery from Nascimento over the top for Sereno. That is what you find from Marcelo also. Can play for possession, can play for penetration, can play diagonal. He's got the qualities, strong in the air. He's got the qualities, but there's also a few other qualities that we need to work on and sharpen and try to improve on him.
Next question.
I've played with Marcelo 2 games now, but we've been together for some time. He was with us from pre-season, and we've played obviously a couple of friendlies and all that. So, and I train with him every day. So we already used to each other, and he's surrounded by good leadership. I'm very vocal, and I guide him. And Happy JL is there, so we're comfortable with him, and he's a very good. He's a top player, so. We have no problems, especially with the communication. We make sure that every moment we get, every chance we get, we run around to him and to give him whatever information that we need to give. And he's also quite open, and he's learning quite fast. He needs to, obviously, it will take him a bit of time to speak English fluently, but he understands the football language. Football is the same everywhere, so we're comfortable at the back.
Jackson's Portuguese is also improving, by the way. Without revealing too much, I think we've already started our work on Chiefs. We try to work 2 games or 3 games in advance. The FIFA break gave us a bit of opportunity to make sure that we start a little bit of our analysis and profiling of our opposition a couple of weeks ago. The one thing with Chiefs is, like you rightfully say, is I think the coach has been extremely smart in how he uses his squad. You see in certain moments he uses Ntia, and in certain moments he uses a Walusibi. The 2 center halves are not always the same. At times it's Ngezana. At times you find Mario Boysens. At times you find Cardoso playing, and at times you find Amato playing. There's not a lot of rotation that happens in the midfield. Katsande is always the focal point and an important part of the axis and the foundation of the team. Very matured player, very important player for them. Important for the phases of the game, because even though they changed the lineup and the personnel, but the game model and the way they behave on the pitch remains the same. You will always find the goalkeepers initiating the build-up phase. You'll find the center halves splitting. Fullbacks try to be as high as possible, and they want to build from the back, and that's when they are actually the most dangerous, because when they want to start from the back, they want you to come and initiate a high press so that they can get the ball behind for runners like Kama Biliat, and the person to do that is Katsande, and he needs more than one touch, Katsande, to be able to deliver the ball to Kama. And that's dangerous. They will do that. They look good when they do that. Katsande is very influential for them when they do that. And we expect him to continue to do that. And that is something we've got to work on at training, to see how do we manage such important people and such important phases for them. Because as soon as they get the ball from there, then there's the second phase of the attack that involves Nchangasi and Eckstein and even Zuma. You saw yesterday how important Bernard Parker is with his experience and his ability to make the right decisions at the right time. So we've done our work. We will continue to dig deeper and make sure that we leave no stone unturned, and try to make sure that our players have all the information that they need to be able to perform on the match.
Next question.
Zakele from Isola as well. My question is to Jackson. Before the last time, Jackson, you were talking about.
Look, for me, the most important thing is the Pirates badge. It's not so much important about the individuals going into the match. The most important thing is the team, and for us to get the results. So of course, I've played well in the past 2 games, and I'm obviously ready to deliver on the weekend. So the most important thing is the team, not who's in the team.
You know, speaking to the coaches helps. You know, they are the ones that encourage us to be focused, like to live to live well. You know, to focus on a game and sacrifice more time looking at your games. You know, focusing on your weaker points. You know, and for me as a soccer player, you know, you have to live well, eat right food, keep well, train hard, and that's what I'm doing at the moment.
I think the Orlando Pirates jersey doesn't belong to anybody. The Orlando Pirates jersey belongs to the magnitude of supporters, and whoever has been bestowed with the responsibility to carry it needs to do so understanding that there comes a huge burden, because blessings and burdens are cousins, and you are blessed to be part of such a big team. But the burden of carrying the jersey is the responsibility of making sure that you please the magnitude of people that follow this club. And I think that's one of the ways that we look at it. We do not look at the responsibility of choosing a number one, but we look at the responsibility of putting the best player in each and every single position, and that's what we try our best to do, without any sort of allegiance or looking at past performances, but we look at overall contributions to make sure that the team is in the best possible shape when it goes into the match, and has the best possible starting lineup, regardless of position and regardless of players, to be able to win the match, and that's because that's the most important thing. Yeah, difficult, but I think that's a question that we'll possibly have to ask to the players, because I think having seen how they applied themselves in a difficult match against Chippa, difficult in the sense that it's difficult to come from international duty and then immediately have to perform for the club. Our preparations were not normally as what we would have liked going into Chippa, because we didn't have all our players, and that's not just for us. You know, you hear a lot of coaches, even at the highest level, speak about this, but particularly with the number of foreign players that you have, and some of them having to travel to 4 or 5 different countries before arriving back for training, and some of them coming back with illnesses and niggling injuries, and then you've got to assess the team and make sure that everybody is in the right frame of mind, and you start to work on the tactics. It becomes a bit difficult, but I think you've got to give a lot of credit to these Orlando Pirates players, because I have not, ever since I've arrived here, had a problem with the mental application or the emotional investment that they put into football matches. I find them to be astute professionals. I find them to be extremely devoted and committed to their work. And I find them to be relentless in their drive to win football matches. And I think for me, it's not a coaching issue. It's about them as individuals, and the amount of intrinsic motivation that each and every single one of them has, and that contributes to the collective. And as I say, I think at this moment in time, I think that for me should be given to the players really in that moment, because I think we are very fortunate to have the professionals that we have.
May I ask that the driver of the following car registration, TGS 994G.
I Yeah, very difficult to answer because I don't think I've contributed to what you see from Kola. I think Kola is what you see from Kola is because of is you can relate to that to what you see from Pule. You can relate that to what you see from Ben. How Jackson applies himself. I think, like I said earlier, I think we've got top professionals, and part to having top professionals in this club is we also look for good human beings. And I think when you've got top professionals who are talented, but have a burning desire to improve themselves and to improve the lives of their families, those are the results that you get. I can't erase the past, obviously, and I can't erase the fact that I've worked with Linda Mtambo, same as I've worked with Paseka Marco, for an example, in the academy at Sundowns, the same as I've worked with Klola before in amateur football. But different players adapt to new environments at different speed, and we've got to allow them to adapt and to come into their own at their own speed without putting too much pressure and expectation. What we can do is to facilitate the support system and try as much as possible to make sure that we give each and every single player at Orlando Pirates the same amount of support, the same amount of confidence, and allow them to believe that the coaches believe in my capacity. Because I think, we speak a lot as coaches on the results, and we speak a lot on trophies, but different coaches make their focus on different areas. I was just listening to Thierry Henry the other day on his first press conference, and without putting a lot of pressure on himself on winning trophies. Of course, if you go to France, you know the story. It's PSG, Monaco, really trying to vie for the championship, and the rest with all due respect to the rest of the clubs, trying to win trophies and trying to win cups, and that's the expectation when you're in a big club. We can't hide that, and that comes even at Orlando Pirates. That's the expectation. Pirates must challenge for trophies. Pirates must challenge for silverware. But I think over and above that, because of the advancement of society, I think it is then of critical importance that us in positions of leadership are also looking more towards maybe a more human-centric focus, where we're looking to improve human beings, looking to make our football players better human beings and better people of society, because this is what the advancement of society and urbanization, the involvement of social media and all of that, this is what it's calling for. It's calling for young men to become more responsible in the space that they lead and have a more positive influence in society. And that's what we try to do. So in trying to do that, we try to make sure that not just Linda Mtambo, but each and every single one of our Orlando Pirates players develops into becoming better human beings, but in so doing, making sure that they fulfill their best potential. And Linda Mtambo is one of those.
As a team, we just want to see the team playing good football, doing well. The focus is on the derby. Actually, it's a big one. As a player, as a young kid, you dream playing a derby. I think for me, I just want to see Orlando Pirates doing well.
I think from a technical perspective, the first point for me is I think, honestly, without sounding biased to probably my allegiance to Steve, but I think having lost Steve Kompela is, in my opinion, a big loss for Chiefs from a technical perspective. The type of leader that he is, the tactical acumen that he possesses, I think in that regard, I think if you compare the previous team to this team, and from an organizational perspective, you can clearly see the lack of a coach of that caliber. without taking anything away from the current head coach, but I do think that Steve Komphela, you can see with regards to how they played last season and how they play this season. You can see from really the minutest of details. You can see a little bit of you can see the influence and the loss that has taken place. Be that as it may, in losing from a technical leadership perspective, I think technically with regards to the personnel, they've made huge strides and they've improved dramatically. I think the acquisitions that they have made, the players that they have brought in, have probably gone on to cover for the lack of technical expertise on the bench that were there last season, and the players that they've really brought in this season have taken the technical and the qualitative perspective with regards to the playing personnel is really improved. Again, not to sound as if the players that were there last season were not as good as the players that are currently there, but obviously, and you've heard Solina say this also numerous times, I mean, you bring Kamabiliat to Kaizer Chiefs, you bring Manyama to Kaizer Chiefs, Castro is there. You've made huge strides with regards to improving the team from a qualitative perspective, and not just to improve the depth and improve numbers, but you're bringing top players that are able to in any different moment influence results. But having said that, also I think you can also see a clear change in the playing structure and the playing way. I want to call it like that because I think it is consistent in the sense that, like I said before, there's a lot more influence on trying to make sure that the first phase of build-up goes through Katsande. I think that was there last season, but not within the same structure. Steve Komphela relied more on the 1-3-5-2 or the 1-3-4-3 formation, with a huge influence on the lateral center halves occupying the half spaces, and then having a central defender trying to carry the ball into the midfield. This time you find more a 4-3-3 or at times even a 4-5-1 with Kama leading the line. And then you have it switch, and it is a little bit more fluid in that sense because it switches from a 2 center halves to a 3 center halves in a way where you have Katsande dropping slightly deeper and coming to receive the ball, and then Katsande is the one that drives the ball in the first phase of build-up into the midfield. So to answer your question, from a playing personnel, huge improvements, some good acquisitions, and that is obvious and you can see. And also structurally and tactically, a huge change, particularly from a formational perspective and the system that Chiefs currently employ. Orlando Pirates, we've improved. I think not a lot has been said about this team, and a lot has been said about the amount of work that these players have done. You know, people are not aware that in 2018, Orlando Pirates has picked up more points than any other team. From the beginning of the year to the current state that we are in, people are not aware that Orlando Pirates has picked up more points than any other team. People are not aware that we still are one of the teams, in fact, if not the team, that keeps the most possession and has a clear playing style and playing identity. And people are not aware that we are, at the time that we were last season, with the same number of games, we are at a better position than we were last season. And not a lot is being said about that. And sometimes it pains me that not a lot of credit is given to these players for the amount of hard work and the sacrifice that they put in, because a lot goes in behind the scenes. The amount of stress that they have to endure from us, the amount of responsibility that they have to carry in terms of leading and doing a lot of work analysis of the opposition. I mean, Chippa United was analyzed by the players and not by the technical team. Chippa United, the game model and the game plan came through mainly through the influence of the players. And they spend a lot of time investing even watching how Orlando Pirates play and coming up with solutions to improve how we play. And not a lot of credit is given to them, and they deserve a lot more than what they get. They are unbelievable with regards to how they carry themselves off the pitch. We are in a phase where you don't hear a lot. Okay, is the wrong time to say it, but you don't hear a lot of Pirates players now in newspapers, and for the wrong reasons. The players have really tried to make sure that they serve not just the game, but they serve the badge with aplomb, and give the best that they can on the pitch during 90 minutes. And you don't find Pirates players shying away from pressure and hiding when games are difficult. These Pirates players are brave. These Pirates players love the badge. And these Pirates players are always prepared to go the extra mile to make sure that the club succeeds. And I think they deserve a lot more credit than what they get.
We'll take the final 3 questions. Velile, you've been
Heavy is the head that carries the crown. You know, so pressure is everywhere, you know. And then we had to adapt quick as much as we can, you know. And if you can recall, for me, I had a difficult season last season because I didn't play as much games that I would have wanted, you know. Coming here for me, you know, obviously, that had great players, you know, especially in the midfield. You know, it was going to be tough for me. But now having the support that we have currently, you know, from the club, you know, and then the preseason that we had for me, you know, it really helped me, you know, because I remember I had a meeting, you know, with the technical staff, you know, and then the work that was supposed to be done to me, you know, it was to bring back my confidence, you know. So I'm in a stage whereby, you know, I'm okay right now, you know, confidence-wise. And then for me, you know, it's just to put my head up, you know, and continue from where I am.
Being the last player to score last season's Telkom knockout, you know, I got a flashback when I scored this goal, you know. Like, I remembered the moment that I scored that previous goal, and the moment that I scored this goal, you know. I was very happy, you know, because scoring goals, you always have to be happy when you scoring, you know, and seeing the team doing well. I think it's something special. Yeah.
I think if what happened against Cape Town City didn't happen, I think if what happened against Baroka didn't happen, and in a certain way what happened against AmaZulu didn't happen, I think then you don't get what we call the script to go home and study and improve. I think part to our failures is then our lessons that allow us to improve and not fight the universe that passes these tests to you. You accept them with graciousness. Obviously, you are disappointed that certain things happen, but at the same time, you take these events and these failures, because they are failures and they are technical failures, and you take them as lessons, because our responsibility is to try to improve the game model. And part to improving the game model is to improve the mistakes and improve from the lessons that we learn. There's a lot of work that has gone into that, because it's not just to say when are you conceding the goals, it's the type of goals that you are conceding, because that also gives you a pattern that you then have to try to resolve. Are these goals that you're conceding in critical phases? Are these goals that you are conceding in open play? Are these goals that, if they are in open play, in which area of the pitch does the turnover take place? And are these goals that you are conceding on set plays and in dead ball situations? And those are the things that we've gone into really finding detail within. We have worked on that. we have tried to check and try to analyze how some of the best coaches in the world work towards managing games, and because this generally is about game intelligence and game management, and but also at the same time, you can see the influence of players like Musa Nyatama in relation to that, and the experience that he brought in last season, and because of the injury that he had, he's been heavily missed. But in having said that, with him back, you could see even on the previous game how easy it was for us to control matches, and to be able to play the Pirates way, even while we are in the lead, and this was something we worked extremely hard on last season. And if you go deeper into details, adapting into different playing concepts is not like switching on the light. I mean, Ben and Pule, for an example, come from a different playing philosophy at Bidvest, and they've got to now come to Orlando Pirates, where when you are in the lead, you've got a different way of managing the result. Instead of reinforcing your defensive block, you are looking to control the game in certain ways that we've got details as to how we want to control matches and how we want to be able to kill off the game, but still also be able to add to the scoreline. And that comes not just with the failure, because obviously the failure then creates the alarm bells and gives you the demand of saying, you've got to work on this, because otherwise people are looking and they are saying, what's the use of having coaches at Pirates? Coaches are there to identify mistakes and work to make sure that the team improves. And we're doing our best to do that as a collective and with the involvement of our players. But at the same time, also with trying to highlight the importance of a player like Musa Nyatama and his experience. And I think we are trying our best to make sure that he comes back and rallies. You see it all over the world. I think if you look at the transfer market in international football at this moment, there are two key positions with the highest stakes. In fact, maybe even three now. The goalkeepers are probably the most expensive, mainly because of how they've got to be able to build from the back, their distribution, and they are the only players. I mean, if you play Highlands Park, everybody is man-marked for 90 minutes. You can never man-mark a goalkeeper because the other goalkeeper is on the other side. So the guy with the time and the space and the vision to be able to assist you in trying to find the other free man inside the pitch is your goalkeeper. And you see that even with Man United, you see that even with Man City, you see that even with Liverpool, and how much money they've had to spend to try and find a goalkeeper that suits the profile of the team, trying to find solutions. At the same time, you find fullbacks, because also fullbacks come from deeper positions, and they are probably the second highest and most valuable and most expensive players in modern football. But lastly, you're speaking of deep-lying playmakers, and these deep-lying playmakers are the ones that probably try to find positions from deeper areas of the pitch, whether through half spaces and occupying half spaces, or whether through initiating from build-up in central areas. And in this country, for me, you don't get better than Musa. The best deep-lying playmaker you have in this country is Musa Nyatama. And that is what we've missed in relation to trying to control and manage matches, because that's the guy that has more time and space, and that's the guy that has more effect on the tempo of the match. Because ultimately, whether you talk of concentration or not, whether you talk of fitness or not, the guy to make you recover if you are tired is your deep-lying playmaker, because he slows everything down and he allows players to regain their breath and come back and have the energy to be able to play again and find the intensity, to find possibilities, not just to attack, but also to counter-press and regain possession.
Velile.
Okay, Coach, just...
I was expecting the karma, and I think it's a little bit, I think there's more to come. And I think you're leading me to your own area. First is, I think Karma matured on his own. I think Karma is he's unbelievable because he's self-driven. I remember, I'll make an example. I remember when Karma changed his jersey and wore jersey number 33, if I am not mistaken, at Sundowns. And I wasn't even aware. And the first match I saw Karma wearing that jersey, I said, Karma, why are you wearing jersey number 33? He said, Coach, because I want to score 33 goals. I said, Karma, that hasn't been done in South African football for the last, I don't know how many years. He says, that doesn't mean I can't do it. So already that profiles the character, the person that you are dealing with. It is a person that is self-driven and works hard towards improving his game and setting, you could even say, unrealistic targets for himself. Because sometimes when you set targets that you know that you can reach, it profiles your character in a sense that you are one person that finds comfortability in the reachable. But Karma finds comfortability in the discomfort, because it's uncomfortable to set such high targets. And a lot of people are afraid to do that in life, you know? So in answering your question, is obviously there was coaching involved, and a lot of praise and credit obviously needs to go to the head coach of Sundowns for that, you know, for driving him even more. But when players are self-driven, it takes less coaching to be able to make them improve and get better. And that's what you find from Karma. I still have a very good relationship with Karma. I speak. I know that you guys know that we tried to sign Karma. We decided in the last minute not to sign Karma. We had lots of talks with Karma, myself and Karma. We were very close to bringing Karma to the black and white. We were very close. But we decided on protecting the change room more than anything else, because the ratio between the expense, and when I say expense, I'm not only talking about the salary, because I've heard a lot of talk about that, but the expense with regards to injuries, with regards to even certain other factors, and the profit that we would get, we thought that it did not make sense. So it's not that Pirates lost out on the race to sign Karma. Pirates didn't lose out on the race to sign Karma. Pirates decided not to sign Karma.
Final question.
Yeah, it won't be too important in this match because Castro is injured. Well, unless there's a miraculous recovery, and knowing Castro from the time that I spent with him at Sundowns, when Castro says he's injured, believe you me, Castro is injured. And he will tell you as the coach that I am injured.
Okay.
In fact, Castro will even go as far as booking a flight to Colombia to spend time with his wife when he is injured. So I wouldn't be surprised that Castro is not in the country.